Human trafficking, it's not like the movies. It touches and reaches every single corner of every single life, no matter if you're rich, poor, no one's immune to it.
Human trafficking is a billion-dollar industry, second to the illegal drug arms trade. Unfortunately, sex sells, and so with that, there's always going to be a trafficker trying to make money off the backs of a person. And they see the person or the human being as a product. You can sell drugs once, you can sell guns once, but you can sell a person over and over and over again.
East Colfax is just the tip of the iceberg. That's the visible, tangible sign of this problem has bubbled to the surface to the degree that it's on our streets. There's so many more in different hotels and motels and even subdivisions in suburbia that human trafficking occurs in.
That got us to where we were today with Mr. Hawkins.
Tonight, Denver prosecutors are celebrating what they consider a historic win.
A case where charges span from 2018 to 2021 and include 4 counts of human trafficking, one of which is related to a minor.
I wasn't going to walk away from this case until it was done.
Mullen says there were a handful of victims in the case, which was first brought to her attention in 2019. Depending on a variety of factors, Mullen expects a sentence of more than 400 years.
We had 7 different victims in this case, 6 of whom were human trafficking victims. And so they had varying levels of trauma.
It's difficult to observe, especially if you're not familiar. You don't sit in a courtroom on an ordinary day. When you step in and you begin to hear the testimony that makes the entire crime history much more visceral. The incredible courage to be able to tell their story, just witnessing it, watching them, finding a way to control their breathing so that they can tell the story in a clear and articulate way as best they can. You know, as a dad, as a grandfather, you look at these young kids and you just think the extent that they can sit there and endure this. When I was asked to participate in the RISE ministry, we tried to figure out exactly what that meant. When Deacon Joe first proposed that, my initial response was, what's human trafficking?
Our relationship with RISE is huge. I can respond on scene. I can go to court. I can do those face-to-face meetings with so many of these victims and survivors, but law enforcement needs me to fill those gaps, right, that they can't do. RISE FOM, they fill those gaps that I can't fill because I'm in those places. And so we all have kind of our lanes that we're in to build everybody up. So you have the best optimal outcome for the case and for the victim survivor.
Human trafficking, it's very unique in the rapport that needs to be built with these victims. Someone like Deacon Ernie, who has already been in law enforcement, understands that when we come in contact with our victims and we know we're going to be building cases, or we understand at least their trauma, we understand the victimization of being a human trafficking victim, we have those resources from RISE, from Silence to Save, to be able to provide for those particular victims.
When I started in this role years ago, I went around and I talked to task forces across the country. Ultimately, they were losing contact with those victims and survivors. They weren't wanting to come forward and testify because it was just too much for them. And so to have those community partners plugging in to provide the support, the resources, therapy, even things like diapers, rent assistance, all of the things that sort of the traditional victim services models don't provide was critical. They knew that we cared and we were allowing them to thrive in their personal lives, recognizing that this was going to be a really long journey and that by the end, when we needed them for testimony, they were in a better place than when we found them at the beginning of the investigations. They had their hair done, they had makeup, they were in clothing that made them feel empowered and strong in front of this person who did really terrible things to them.
Sometimes that's a tactic of the defense. Keep continuing, keep doing this. They'll fall off because they know if those girls show up and they talk about what happened to them and all of a sudden they're not just street trash, like they want to talk about them, and they are tall, proud, articulate, sober, in a good place, and can absolutely say exactly what he did to them, they know they're screwed.
I've seen our victims who have gone on to take college courses, who have gotten scholarships, who have gotten married, who have had successful relationships.
When you have amazing outcomes like this case, a 448-year sentence, right? This really amazing prosecutorial outcome, but also hearing from survivors who've been served by these agencies, who recognize the value and who can speak about their lives, the way in which it's helped them, it's helped their children.
When you have organizations like FSTS and RISE who work with people on such an individual level, survivors, victims feel seen for the first time. The whole reason we care about these cases is we care about you. Because you're a person, you're part of this community.
In a certain sense, I think we've only just begun. When you speak to all the members of the law enforcement team who are working in this area, each of them will acknowledge that in many ways we're just scratching the surface. The demand, if you will, the need is much greater than we're able to fulfill at the moment. Finding financial benefactors that can help provide the resources we need to pay for the sheltering night, the food, the clothing, all the other things that go into it, all that's necessary.
Advocacy and services to give them what they need to be held up is not free. Consistency in our showing up is, but the things that we need to provide them with are not. So the giving and the donating, that's a big deal. And I would say, look, if you want to be part of groups that help build these up, get with RISE, see how you can attach to Friends of Maggie group and to be part of this and to get involved.
We continue to grow those organic groups around the Archdiocese and the greater metro area through our RISE organization and Friends of Maggie that we've partnered with. To utilize Bella Health and Wellness to introduce them in this space so they could provide services and life-affirming care to some of these young victims. And the good people of God in the Archdiocese to come and listen to an awareness training. The rare instances where it comes to a trial, like the Hawkins trial, these survivors need help with prep, and that's where the community comes together. Get a hold of us through our website to assist all these victims and all these survivors to hopefully be able to thrive in their life.